Hello dear students, you are welcome in this video. In the last video, we talked about Sanskrit as a classical language and we had an introduction of the Sanskrit as a classical language. Now in this video, we are going to talk about Pali as a classical language as we are covering topics in Indian knowledge system. So this is a topic related to language or classical languages, and Pali we have a very important and major classical language in Indian tradition. So today we will talk about Pali as a classical language. So here are a few topics that we are going to discuss in this slides or in this lecture. So let's talk about the Pali. So what is Pali, or how do we know about Pali? Actually, Pali is an ancient language. This is the first thing that we need to understand about any classical language. So Pali is an ancient language and it is used extensively in early Buddhist teaching. So we are going to discuss about Theravada, where we find this is a liturgical language. Here you see that Theravada liturgical tongue. Tongue means language. So it is the language used in Theravada. Now what is Theravada? Theravada is nothing but the oldest surviving or living canon of Buddhist teachings or preachings. So we find that Theravada is a canon. So this is a living canon in Buddhism. So this is the old school or the oldest surviving school in Buddhism. So it is the language of Theravada Buddhist tradition. Still we find this Theravada Buddhist tradition in many countries, including India also. Then we also have its global relevance. So the Pali is studied and respected all over the world. So Pali is studied for its religion, for its linguistic tones or linguistic study. We find at the global level there are so many universities where we find the syllabus is prescribed based on the Pali as a classical language, or as we found that Sanskrit is prescribed as a classical language, in the same way Pali also is studied in many universities. So this is the global relevance of Pali. Next we have its historical significance. Now if we think about the origin of Pali, we find that it is stressed in 3rd century BCE as a middle Indo-Aryan language. So basically it is considered as middle Indo-Aryan language, and its origin or emergence is stressed in 3rd century before Christ, or BC, before Common Era. So this is one of the oldest languages in the world. We can say that, as it is in India. Now if we think about other related languages to Pali, we find that Prakrit dialects are there, rooted in various canons of this language. So Prakrit dialects are one of the derivations in ancient India or in Pali. We can understand through it. Then we also have canonical importance, where we find that used predominantly in the Theravada Buddhist canon. Tipitaka. Basically Tipitaka are composed in the Pali, or we find the major literature is composed in Pali, including Tipitaka. So it is a very dominant or predominant language of Theravada Buddhist school, which is one of the oldest surviving schools still today. Then let's talk about the role in Buddhism. So uh, Pali is a liturgical language of Buddhism. Liturgical means a language in which we find religious texts are composed or written. Then this language is used for worshipping in particular religion. For example, Pali is used as a language of worship in Buddhism. So the role of Pali in Buddhism is very significant, where we find that it is a canonical language. So primary language of the Theravada Buddhist scripts. So whatever scripts you find in Buddhism, we find it in Pali. Or Pali is a major language in which we find many religious texts of Buddhism in that particular language. Then preserving the Buddhist teaching. So it maintains authentic teachings of the Siddhartha Gautama. If we go to Siddhartha Gautama's or Lord Buddha's teachings or preachings, we find all those teachings and preachings were composed in Pali. So Pali has a very great significance as a religious language, because most of the things or most of the worship is in Pali, or Pali is used in worshipping in Buddhism. So this is the role of Pali in Buddhism. Actually, we are talking all these elements at a surface level. We are not going deep because we have a very brief portion to study in the Indian knowledge system. So if you want to explore more, you can search on internet, or you can find reference books to study all these languages as classical languages. Now, let's think about the Pali canon or the Pali literature, in which we find Tipitaka. And Tipitaka consists of three major texts. The first is Vinaya Pitaka. Vinaya Pitaka is nothing but monastic codes of discipline and ethics for priests and nuns in Buddhist tradition or in Buddhism. So Vinaya Pitaka directly consists of the rules and regulations or code of conducts in the Buddhism. The second Pitaka, we have Sutta Pitaka, in which we find Buddha's discourses like Dhammapada and Nikayas. So these two basic scripts we have, or scriptures we have in Sutta Pitaka, Buddha's discourses like Dhammapada and Nikaya. If you want to study more, you can read this Dhammapada and Nikaya, which you find in other languages also. Now, the all literature is translated. Major literature is translated in various languages, including Hindi, Marathi, or other languages. So, we can read this Sutta Pitaka. Then we have Abhidhamma Pitaka, and in Abhidhamma Pitaka we have philosophical analysis of the mind and reality. So this is very important, where we find, so all these three scripts or three texts are different. The first talks about rules and regulations, the second talks about the discourses of Buddhism or the teachings of Lord Buddha, Dhammapada and Nikayas, and the third Abhidhamma Pitaka talks about philosophical analysis of mind and soul and reality, how all these things are related, or it goes beyond these two, code of conduct and rules, regulations and teaching, and it talks about these some of the basic questions: the human existence, the role of mind in shaping the human existence, and reality. So all these things we find, or the basic philosophies found in Abhidhamma Pitaka. Then we have commentaries and sub-commentaries. So this is also an important literature in Pali, where we find that Atthakatha, in which we find traditional detailed commentaries like Visuddhimagga by Buddhaghosa. So this text also is very important, which talks about different types of teachings in Atthakatha. So there are, Katha means stories. There are a few stories. Atthakatha means 8 stories. Like we have Buddhaghosa's Visuddhimagga. Then we have Tika, the next scripture or next text. There it is a sub commentaries elaborating on Atthakatha line. So what is there in this story is elaborated in the Tika. Tika means criticism. Generally we say. So this is the criticism on Atthakatha. So these two texts also are very important in Pali. Then we have key concepts in Pali literature. What are the key concepts? There are 5 key concepts in Pali literature. The first is Dhamma. Dhamma, what is? It is nothing but teachings of Buddha. Dhamma means dharma, means religion. So it is basically a religion in which we find that Lord Buddha's teachings, the first thing. Second, we have Sangha. So Sangha is nothing but the union. So monastic community of monks and nuns. So we find in Sangha. Sangha is important because it is used to spread the religious teachings of Buddhism. So Sangha. Then we have Nirvana. Nirvana is nothing but liberation from suffering. Then we have Karma or Kama, which is moral causation. So there is relation between the what we behave and what we have its effect. So this is the moral causation. And Anatta or Ananta is doctrine of non-self. So we should be selfless, and we should think about humanity or other animals. It is taught in the Anatta. So these are the 5 basic teachings or 5 basic principles in the Pali literature. And if you elaborate all this, then you will find there are so many sub key concepts in all these 5 uh, concepts. Next, we have influence and legacy. So, Theravada Buddhism language still is used in Sri Lanka, Thailand, Myanmar, Cambodia, and Laos. So, these are the major countries where we find the Theravada Canon, the oldest school of Buddhism practiced, and hence we find it has a great influence on the people living there. And we have a legacy of Theravada Buddhism in these countries, including India. So apart from India, we have these major countries where Theravada is practiced still today. Then preserved tradition. So the importance of Pali is not only on what we still today think or practice, but the importance lies in the its maintenance of the great tradition of Buddhism. For example, we have chants, rituals, meditation practice, etc. So these have preserved the Buddhist traditions still today. So it has its influence and legacy. Then what is the modern relevance of Buddhism? So, educational revival through specialized institutions and courses worldwide. So, we find that there are so many courses designed based on the Buddhism or the Pali language, Pali as a classical language, around the world. So, there are so many universities where we find this type of courses. Then, digital platforms. So, using technology to spread Pali studies globally. So, in the AI era, we find that a lot of information about Pali as a classical language is available, and it is studied globally. So, technology has spread Pali world over or globally. Then, spiritual exchange facilitates cross cultural Buddhist understanding. So, we find that there are so many countries where Buddhism is practiced, including China, Japan, and the countries which we mentioned here. And this is nothing but a cross cultural interaction with the other countries, other people, their culture. So spiritual exchange also is very important in Buddhism. So, what did we study or what did we think in this slide? So, summary and takeaways. So, uh, actually, Pali is an ancient living language. So, Pali connects us to authentic Buddhist teachings. If you want to study Buddhism, you must understand Pali, or at least you should use its basic reference books, which may be translated in other languages, so that you can go to the authentic Buddhist canon. Then cultural and spiritual importance it has, so vital in Theravada traditions worldwide, and enduring modern presence, strong revival via education and digital means. So we can revive Pali again through this digital means and using technology. So all these things are there in the Pali, or Pali as a classical language. When we think about Pali as a classical language, we should think about all these things, and I hope you got the idea of Pali as a classical language. If you have any problem, any query, you can comment below in the comment section. We will try to solve all the queries. Thank you very much.